Good morning, and what a lot of things we do mean by good morning, to be sure. Welcome to the Telltale Cake. We are here in the basement of my most estimable sound guy. May the hair on his toes never fall out. And with me is Carol, a.k.a. Gandalf, who may have written a nasty sign on the door inviting people to come for burglary services.
Host might be receiving a dozen dwarf visitors soon who have an odd idea about his professions.
You know, our host is a pretty chill guy. I feel like if anyone is equipped to handle the sudden arrival of 13 dwarves, it might be...
I think so. I
might
think
be
he can
him.
pull it off.
I'm not sure if he has the snacks for the situation.
Oh, yeah, that would be a problem. They're going to clear him right out.
They are. Now, as one might have guessed from this conversation, we are currently reading The Hobbit, written by J.R.R. Tolkien in 1937. Why are we reading it?
Because it's a delightful, adventurous tale.
I am so happy to be doing this. This is probably my favorite book when I was a child. I read it a lot. I had it read to me. I watched the 1970s animated Hobbit a lot.
Which is delightful.
I can still probably sing most of the songs from the 1970s animated Hobbit because...
And you must do one. At least one.
I'll sing some snippets here and there.
Perfect.
The soundtrack is absolutely wonderful.
The art is interesting.
It's not the best art or drawing.
It's a style. Especially the golem. The golem is disturbing.
It is, which I like, actually.
Yeah, he's supposed to be disturbing. Yeah.
Now, I think you read Lord of the Rings first. Am I correct in that?
Oh, no. So my brother read The Hobbit to me when I was in, 5 to 7-ish range. And then I read The Lord of the Rings a few years later. So I did get exposure to The Hobbit first.
And how I like The Hobbit better than The Lord of the Rings always have. What about you?
I would say that it is more of a page turner, like faster paced. There's no drudging and trudging the way there is in Lord of the Rings. I do find Lord of the Rings to be like a very impactful story. I love it. As far as an entertaining read, agreed. The Hobbit is better.
Totally fair. On this show, we like to eat cake with our books, and I have made a seed cake that a blog on the internet has assured me is like the traditional seed cake in English tradition that Bilbo might have had to serve to his guests.
That's wonderful. But could you also put on some eggs and like a flagon of ale and, some ham and some bread and butter, and so would all 13 of my dwarven friends.
I can do none of those things. You're getting a single seed cake. It has caraway seeds in it, which I think is rather interesting. It makes it taste it's a very heavy, thick, sticky dough.
It looks delightful.
I tried to put on powdered sugar nicely right now, but I forgot a very vital fact about myself and my ability to put on powdered sugar prettily, which is I cannot do it. And I get powdered sugar everywhere. So you just...
Oh, yeah, the table got a dusting. Delicious.
Please don't eat the table.
All right. So I'm sure no one can tell that this is not a legit beard.
No.
But
I certainly couldn't.
I'm figuring out, post creating the beard, that it's a whole skill set to not get cake in one's beard. So wish me luck.
Good luck. I cannot help you with this situation. I have a tendency to date men with beards, and they do often get crumbs in beards.
So if I have crumbs in my hair beard, let me know.
I will, and I will not judge you.
The host's children, however, have judged me.
Mm.
I came up to the door, and the child was like, "I guess you're here for the podcast."
Now, to me, this tastes like a really heavy buckwheat pancake.
Oh, yeah.
More than anything else.
I was kind of getting, muffin vibes.
I think it's the caraway seeds in it, which is not something you would normally put in a cake. It's more of a savory thing.
I think it's good, though. I like it. It is very mildly sweet and nice, which makes it nice breakfast bread, I think.
It's a very nice little tea cake, I think. And I also realized that I neglected to bring a spoon for you to stir cream into your coffee.
That is totally fine.
You have a fork. You can destroy
We'll
civilization.
do just fine.
We also like to judge books by our covers because how else would we judge them? The wonderful copy I had as a child is falling apart now, so I didn't bring it, but I had this hardback version that had a glossy metallic gold finish, and it had colored runes all around the side. It was excellent.
That sounds lovely. And, I'm glad it was well loved.
It was. It was read until it was falling apart. But what I have instead is this just paperback from a used bookstore that has a nice little illustration of the barrel riding scene, and this was painted by Tolkien himself.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the Tolkien art style.
So we like this.
Absolutely.
Now this book, it actually came with an inscription from 1978. To Patty and Tim, Merry Christmas. We love you, and this book too. Hope you too do. Now, obviously, I found this in a used bookstore, so I'm guessing Patty and Tim actually did not love this.
They did not love it as much as you loved your hardback that's falling apart.
The other possibility that I choose to believe is that Patty and Tim died, and their heirs just got rid of it because they couldn't bear to look at it.
Right, it was like the most beloved book. Oh my goodness, I loved it so much. We can't look at it. It reminds us of our grief.
Exactly.
Or maybe they are descended from the Sackville Bagginses.
And they're just getting rid of everything.
Yes.
Either way, I have some feelings about Patty and Tim. I kind of love it when I find books that have inscriptions in them.
That is fun. It's a fun little mysterious connection. I too like coming up with a story. For...
Who are these people? Why did they get rid of this book?
To Patty and Tim.
To Patty and Tim. Right, let's get into this. Our hero is Bilbo Baggins, who is one of the most likable heroes I've ever met. That we'll talk about how my perception of him has changed over the years. I like him better as an adult than I did as a child.
What annoyed you about him as a child?
He didn't want to go on adventures.
Oh, right. You're like, why is he resisting this?
That
would be
awesome.
So fun.
Now, as an adult who has gone camping and hates it, adventures do make one late for dinner.
Agreed.
They're damp things.
Every single time throughout the book where he fondly remembers his cozy little hobbit hole and wishes that he was back there, it's just so relatable.
It is. Now, what I still like about him is that he's just a nice person, first of all. And he's also extremely resourceful. You wouldn't think he'd be resourceful, being, this kind of fat little hobbit who sits around having a great life, but he really is.
Somehow Gandalf just knew. He was just like, I like this little guy. He's going to contribute something. I don't know what, but it's going to be good to have him around.
And he really does. Gandalf is right. You're so right. When we meet him, however, he's just this respectable hobbit who never goes on adventures. Dear me, no. That would just be the talk of the neighborhood. Oh, my gossip.
He already has, some weird uncles and stuff who went on adventures and are judged.
His respectable Baggins line is slightly tainted with the adventurous Took line, particularly through the marriage to Belladonna Took, who we will mention because she is the sole woman mentioned.
The only one with a name in the whole book.
She's not even just the only one with the name. She's the only one.
There's one mention of the women and children.
Oh, so there's some...
In Lake Town. That was it.
Oh,
some
true.
Generic women and children. That was it.
All right, so Belladonna Took some generic women and children. Back to the action, which we've already strayed from. Bilbo's hanging out blowing smoke rings. He's very proud of it. And then this old guy that he kind of knows, Gandalf, used to show up, do some fireworks, tell some wild stories that Bilbo was into as a kid. But now it's like, what are we going to do as Gandalf? Are we going to just drag me out on some terrible adventure here?
Oh, he's already on guard, just trying to avoid the adventure.
So Gandalf hangs out, smokes a little bit with him. Gandalf can blow better smoke rings. Unlike Lord of the Rings, Gandalf actually does quite a bit of magic in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
But
right. Not just running around with a glowing staff.
He does more than glow. But my theory is that in Lord of the Rings, Gandalf is just a firefly. Getting ready to mate. He blows smoke rings. He blows magical smoke rings. It's very impressive. Bilbo can't get rid of him politely, so he feels a need to invite him back for tea.
Oh, yes, the awkward, goodbye, come to tea tomorrow.
Really, please don't.
Yep.
Gandalf makes a mysterious mark on the door that Bilbo doesn't see and leaves. Bilbo forgets all about inviting Gandalf to tea.
He's too flustered. He went and had a little snacky snack and a nappy nap. And yes, forgot about the awkward invitation to tea the next day.
Now, as an adult, I find this incredibly relatable. Like, you have an unexpected visitor. If I have an unexpected visitor, I'm going to be sort of flustered and out of sorts. I want a little nappy nap after that.
Agreed. This is definitely a relatable thing about Bilbo.
Snacky snacks, nappy naps. Tomorrow he comes. He has forgotten all about inviting Gandalf to tea. So people start showing up around tea time, but it's not Gandalf. It is, in fact, a number of dwarves who come in a few at a time. And let's see if I can actually do this. We have Balin, Dwalin, Feely, Keely, Dory, Nori, and Ori, Owen, Glowin, Biffer, Boffer, Bomber, and Thorin Oakenshield.
Oh, good job.
Thank you. Can't name the 7 dwarves from Disney, but I got the Hobbit dwarves.
Oh, yeah, the 13 dwarves from Tolkien is much better than the 7
Seriously.
dwarves.
And they basically eat Bilbo out of house and home. They keep giving him orders for what they want. And then finally Gandalf shows up and they talk business. They explain that they have this great quest to go retrieve Thorin's ancestral kingdom in the Lonely Mountain from this marauding dragon, and all this fabulous gold that they tease him with. Bilbo responds to this in the best possible horror heroine way by fainting. Wakes up. The dwarves are still there. They do some of the dishes to give them their due.
As they're like taunting him, pretending that they're going to break everything.
Chip the glasses, crack the plates. That's what Bilbo Baggins hates. So carefully with the plates. Something like that.
Oh, good. We got to sing along.
Yes.
Bilbo wants nothing to do with the adventure. He's, thinking about how he's going to opt out and just get them out the door. And he only becomes interested through reverse psychology when they're like, this guy's going to be useless. He can't do anything to help on our adventure.
And he is easily persuaded by that. He's like, no, I can go on an adventure. But it's very tiring, and he eventually just goes to bed. Relatable. Wakes up kind of late because he's had a long, rough night. Also relatable. Finds that his house is a mess and has to do all the dishes and misses a note that was left for him. Still
Terrible
relatable.
Morning.
Yeah. Gandalf shows up, yells at him to read the note Thorin left, which tells him to come meet them at a nearby inn in 15 minutes. And he sort of hustles Bilbo amusingly out the door. Well, Bilbo says, but no time for that. But no time for that either. Off you go. And he runs out the door without so much as a pocket handkerchief.
Not going to give him time to decline the adventure.
He just gets flustered, has to run out, join the dwarves at the very last minute. They have a pony for him. The ponies in this story are going to have such a bad time.
Oh, yeah, there's some sad pony demise.
There's a lot of sad pony demise. The ponies get eaten.
Yep. Spoiler, the ponies get eaten.
Multiple ponies get eaten by multiple different things. So anyway, Bilbo is now off with 13 dwarves, making 14 a lucky number. Sometimes Gandalf is going to be there with him whenever it would be really useful to have Gandalf. He's not going to be around because he's Gandalf.
Lots of side quests for Gandalf.
Gandalf
is kind of a jerk.
He is. But one thing I do like about the world in this is that we're not going to over-explain anything. We just get the impression that there's this whole wide world out there and even though there's this grand quest, it's a very small part of the world. Gandalf has to deal with this necromancer character that we never really get an explanation for. All we know is that at some point Thorin's father was in the necromancer's dungeon.
Right.
Gandalf is very cagey about what he also was doing in the necromancer's dungeon.
Gandalf doesn't like to explain things. Doesn't like to give information. Just kind of likes to nudge things along. manipulate,
He's just like,
trick people into adventures.
I just found this map. I got it from Thorin's dad off in the Necromancer's dungeon. No more questions.
Yeah, right.
I'm not taking questions at this time. Things are going swimmingly, though, until we actually get to some swimming. It's cold, it's damp. One of the ponies falls in the river and gets...
the first sad pony demise.
I think they rescue that one.
Oh, they rescue that one?
But
they don't rescue the food.
Yeah. So then...
Stuff the pony was carrying,
all gone.
Unfortunately.
And then they're wet, they're miserable, but they see a fire in the distance. And they decide they have a burglar on hand, Mr. Baggins. He's going to go investigate and see if, it's safe to approach. And they tell him if he gets in trouble, hoot twice like a screech owl and once like a barn owl. So I was looking up what various owl hoots sound like. And I found out some interesting things about screech owls. The animal that we know as a screech owl is native solely to the Americas. So it would not have been a traditional animal in England at all. So what I'm not totally sure about is whether that animal just became sort of famous or if the English sort of refer to owls as screech owls in general, like the same way.
Another colloquial use of the word.
Yeah, like they say corn to mean all possible types of grain. And, I would describe all trains as choo-choo trains, unless they're bullet trains. So
all
maybe
desserts are pudding.
Exactly. So it could be something like that, especially because there is a reference to screech owls in the Bible.
There is. What's the biblical screech owl about?
It's just something about being lost in the desert, and there's eagles and a screech owl. It's not a big character, unfortunately.
While I love your owl trivia, I'm also hoping to hear your owl hoots.
Well, I did not actually figure out how owls hoot, but we have an internet connection here.
All right. So you're in the same boat as Bilbo, who does not know how to do the owl hoots.
Do you know how to do owl hoots?
I do not.
I'm
Gandalf. I have already just dipped to go deal with some side quest. I was not there for the hoot owl discussion, so it's not my responsibility to hoot.
So, screech owl sounds. Eastern screech owl calling. That
sounds really tricky to imitate, actually.
That's an Eastern screech owl.
And that did not sound like a screech at all. It sounded like a little chirp thing. So
it did.
I would not be able to do that. I would not be able to signal to the dwarves that I was in trouble if that is what they were expecting to hear.
Here's a barn owl calling.
Oh. That was a lot creepier and raspier than I expected as well.
Yeah, that was kind of like a hiss.
Yeah.
But the important thing to remember about owls is all of them might be a goblin king in disguise. That might be crossing the streams too much. Anyway, so we have owls that Bilbo can't hoot like. And I think the lesson here is make sure you've got your bird call sounds sorted before you really need them. Because he's going to need them. He discovers that the fire is some trolls that are eating sheep. And this is not a normal place for trolls to be. They have some very comical dialect speech. I think they're supposed to be like low-class Cockney, maybe?
Yeah, that was what it seems like in the way it's written. It's one of those things in books that is kind of troublesome to read. It just doesn't flow, but then you kind of get the vibe of what the accent is. Yeah.
And they talk about how they don't have anything but sheep to eat, and they're hungry. I can't do a Cockney accent, and I'm not even going to try.
I'm not going to try that either.
Yeah, we won't. Bilbo gets some delusions of grandeur here, and he decides he's going to pick a pocket.
I don't know what you would expect to be in a troll's pocket, but Bilbo thinks there might be something good.
I'm now going to sing something from Oliver. You've got to pick a pocket or two. Boys, you've got to pick a pocket or two. So he picks a pocket or two, but he gets caught. And they figure out that there might be some other things around that might be eatable. So they manage to lure in all the dwarves and stuff them in sacks and sit on them.
Which I had to say, the way the dwarves decide to come in one by one was just the worst strategy ever. They're like, all right, we'll go one at a time to check on the danger. And when none of them come back, the next one's just like, all right, now I'm going to go check it out. I don't want any backup. Just next in line, you come if I don't come back.
This is a strategy they will employ multiple times. Things look grim, but then Gandalf shows up at the last minute and uses some ventriloquism to trick the trolls into fighting, and then the sun comes up and they all turn to stone.
So Gandalf saves the day with just stalling techniques.
He does more magic here than in Lord of the Rings, and it still isn't a lot. But, one of the things that I do like about Gandalf, he's a huge jerk, but he understands that real power is just talking and getting people to do what you want.
Yeah. That's how he convinced Bilbo to just come along on this entire adventure.
Mm-hmm. They find some interesting stuff because the trolls have a cave nearby that's full of stuff. Bilbo does find the key to it because there's a nice door, which is good because Gandalf is comically unable to open the door with all of his magic. Gandalf's great weakness as a wizard is doors.
He's got his hands full of staff.
He could put the staff down.
No, that's his power.
Oh, got it.
Can't part an old man from his walking stick.
That is true. Now, in the cave, they find some magic swords, which is always convenient. Bilbo gets one, and Thorin and Gandalf both take one. They're very nice swords. They don't know much about it yet, but they also manage to get the trolls provisions, and then they can resume their adventure with some better food.
A lot better with snacky snack.
What's nice about the pacing of this is that it's very much adventure. Like, things get dangerous, you get more food and a chance to rest, repeat.
Right, there's some little breaks in the hungry, rainy trudging.
So you never get too tired of the trudging. There's always something happening. And
Bilbo's always wishing for his home and his cozy hobbit hole and his snacky snacks. Like, just before the break comes, he's just like, oh, I wish I had not come on this adventure.
But then we get to the break. And the break after this danger is going to be Rivendell and the last homely house. So they get to the hidden valley of the elves. The elves are singing a kind of mean song about
the elves sing a lot of mean songs.
about how their ponies need shoeing. Where are you going? With beards all a-wagging, your ponies need shoeing. Something, something, something.
I'm very pleased with the musical interludes so far.
Excellent. Tra-la-la-la-lee, here down in the valley. Ha-ha. I think I switched keys in there somewhere. Oh, well.
Still delightful.
So they hang out with Elrond. There will be a woman here in Lord of the Rings, but currently she's not anywhere around.
Yeah,
so
she's not mentioned, doesn't appear.
So
don't hear anything about what the elf ladies are up to.
It's still all male adventure, all male world. Elrond does discover some hidden runes in the map that was gotten from the Necromancer's dungeon.
It's definitely one of my favorite parts. So I've also, like Bilbo, always loved maps. Like, anytime there's a map in the book, anytime they mention a place, I'll be like, let's go find it in the map. And also, little hidden secrets, the secret writing, all of that. To me, this is one of the most charming parts of the book and a foundational, thing that sparked my love of fantasy.
It is so fun. And these are special runes that can only be seen under the light of a moon at a special time. They give written directions for how to get into the hidden door at the Lonely Mountain, get in without Smaug noticing.
I love it's a humbling moment for Gandalf because, Gandalf is so wise and has everything under control and is manipulating everyone, but he's like, dang it, I didn't see those hidden runes. Elrond has found something I didn't.
Elrond also does an identify on the magic swords that they found from the trolls, and we find that they are Orcrist, the Goblin Cleaver, and Glamdring, the Foe Hammer, and these really sound like something you might order from the Acme catalog if you're a Roadrunner, or rather the Coyote. because the faux hammer, the goblin cleaver. I could use a faux hammer.
That sounds great. Yep, I'll take a faux hammer too. Put
This
2 on the order.
All right, maybe we can get a discount. All right, 2 faux hammers coming right up. Then they're going to set off again across the Misty Mountains. And speaking of maps, I should have brought my little map, but Rivendell's pretty close to the Misty Mountains. So you've got to cross this giant mountain range. The adventure's getting unpleasant again. There's a lot of drudging. It's raining. It's unpleasant.
Scary giants.
There are
Throwing
scary
rocks
giants.
around.
They need to find some shelter. They find a dry cave. Now, they should know that any nice, pleasant cave is probably already going to be occupied in the Misty Mountains. In fact, Tolkien takes pains to point this out. They should have known this, but they don't.
They try investigating. I think one of the dwarves goes in and says, "Yep, I went all the way to the back of the cave. Doesn't go in too far. It's empty."
So they all take shelter. It's gonna be fine. Of course it's going to be fine. Why wouldn't it be fine? They all go to sleep. And then this is when the goblins attack, singing a really creepy song that I actually can't sing this because it requires a bass that I do not have.
Aww. All right. Well, you've done a lot of good sing-alongs already, so you can get out of this one.
Yeah.
They also somehow open up a passage in the cave to get to this outer cage, or this outer cave, which they refer to as their porch. I'm kind of confused because it seems like, how do you open up a passageway in a cave other than like mining it open? And that just seems like it would take a while and then it would be really loud. So I don't really know how they pulled that off so quietly.
I have no answers for you on this. Magic goblin stuff is all I got.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird, creepy stuff in the Misty Mountains.
Clever gadgets and equipment is the goblins' strong point. So I guess we'll just say that they have some magical or technically sophisticated silent mining equipment and techniques.
Magic doors.
Magic doors.
They do make enough noise that Bilbo actually wakes up and manages to yell for Gandalf, and Gandalf is able to sort of escape.
Oh yeah, big explosion, kills some goblins, but then in another Gandalf total jerk move, seals everyone into the mountain except himself.
Yes. So they get taken to meet the Goblin King, who is not Jared, Jareth rather. It's not David Bowie or his crotch.
Not that Goblin King.
Which I'm a little disappointed about. But we find a nasty Goblin King who's mad at them for having magic elven swords and is going to eat them and their ponies.
The ponies, once again, getting the worst short end of the stick.
These ponies are going to get eaten. But Gandalf shows up at the last minute, and all the dwarves manage to run off into the darkness. But they drop Bilbo, and he passes out, and they leave him behind.
No one's doing a head count. They just assume that Bilbo's following along, but he has fainted again.
He does that. He is really going to have some horror heroine moments here. He wakes up in this total darkness underground, finds his way by creeping along to this giant, creepy subterranean lake where he meets a weird creature who's been eating fish in the dark.
Before he runs into Gollum, though, he finds a ring,
which he just sort of picks up and puts in his pocket.
Sticks it in his pocket, and then he forgets about it.
Now, this thing that he finds in the darkness, he calls Gollum because it makes a lot of awful noises and talks to himself constantly. Here we really see Tolkien's folklore mythology influence, because what they're going to do is they're going to have a riddle game, which is very standard, especially in oral traditions where you can pause and let people try to guess the riddles.
Yeah,
it'd be so fun to have hear about a riddle game. Now,
I'm very impressed by even just the concept that anyone could come up with these on the spot or have just like a bank of riddles memorized for things like this and spoken in a poetic way. I'm just like, wow, Gollum, you've been doing some thinking in the 500 years that you have been chilling in this cave all alone.
And Bilbo hasn't been chilling all alone for 500 years, and he's got a good stock of riddles. It is hard to come up with riddles. So
Yeah.
I was a weird and kind of anxious kid. So I actually worried about this. Like, if I get into a riddle game, what will I do? Because I can't really think of
That
them.
is fair. I understand.
I actually memorized all the riddles in The Hobbit
That is
just in
awesome.
case.
I like that.
And
I'm
I-
just going to go with, what do I have in my pocket if I run into a riddle battle?
I would not accept that as a valid riddle. Gollum does.
Bilbo doesn't even intend for it to be his riddle. He's just like, thinking out loud. He's trying to think of a riddle, and then he's like, what do I have in my pocket? And then Gollum just thinks that it's the riddle.
And he complains rightly that it's not really a fair riddle, but he did accept it as one.
I think Gollum's first answer would have been like a good, correct answer were it to be a riddle. Hands. What do I have in my pocket?
Hands. It would even be an even better answer to the riddle if you just pulled a dried, desiccated mummy hand out of your pocket. It was like, yep, I got hands in my pocket.
Yep.
Gollum cannot guess that the magic ring is there, so he loses the riddle game, and by the terms, instead of getting to eat Bilbo, he has to show him the way to the surface. But he wants to go get his magic birthday present first, for reasons that are slightly unclear, but Gollum's logic circuits are a little bit shorted at times.
Then we find out it's so that he can, double cross Bilbo and not, fulfill his end of the bargain and eat Bilbo.
Right.
Bilbo wants to have a snacky snack, not be the snacky snack. So this is not good.
Although I've heard that the next generation regards being a snacky snack as like a good sexy thing.
Oh, right, true.
I find this odd.
Yeah, like I'm a snack.
Especially because it's also not good to be cooked.
I'm a snack and I have skibbity riz.
Ohio.
I am very old. I am Gandalf.
You ain't got time for this newfangled slang. Gollum has a hissy fit when he can't find his magic ring. And it's such a loud hissy fit that Bilbo hears it and decides to run away, which is an excellent decision.
Yep. Gollum's hissy fit does not sound like good news.
Bad news bears, in fact. Now, while he's trying to run away, Bilbo does my favorite horror heroine move, which is to trip and fall. But he somehow manages to get his finger jammed into the ring.
The ring just has a mind of its own, and it likes to pop on and off fingers when it will.
It does. Now, somehow, all of Gollum's sense of smell and ability to detect the ring that we learn about in later books does not apply here. And we're not going to think too hard about this.
Maybe it's just because he has taken for granted that the ring is his and he would never lose it, and so he's not on guard. Later on, he's like trying to get it back and he's desperate for it. Let's just call it he takes the ring for granted.
Okay. That's a little bit of retconning probably, but I accept it. So Gollum goes past Bilbo because what Bilbo doesn't realize yet is he is invisible. So Gollum just goes past. Bilbo follows him and gets led to, the exit, which is full of goblins. Bilbo, in an impressive display of acrobatics that he has not hitherto displayed, leapfrogs over Gollum, I assume with perfectly pointed toes and a good split.
I also like this because in the 1970s animated Hobbit, they kind of look like toads. Like, at least Gollum very, very much looks like a toad. So I'm enjoying this leapfrog imagery.
It is fun. Now, the ring decides to just sort of slip off Bilbo's finger at this point, which leaves him in a room full of goblins completely exposed. He puts the ring on quite fast, but they do know that someone is there and start groping around for him. I have a recurring nightmare where I'm invisible and I'm trying to hide in a room full of people who are looking for me and groping around, which I suspect comes from this.
From the Hobbit, yeah.
But he does manage to slide out the door. He pops off all his buttons and he runs off into the woods to freedom.
Then he comes upon the rest of the party shit-talking him.
They do that a lot.
Yeah.
So he strolls into their midst, comically, tells them his story does not mention the ring.
Yeah, it tells the whole story, except for the ring part.
And they're like, cool, okay, good to see you. Well, let's get a move on because the goblins are probably going to hunt for us. So they get a move on, but the goblins are chasing after them while riding wolves, and they end up having to climb some very tall trees while the goblins hang out below and start setting fire to the trees. Gandalf is actually treed with them and is actually doing magic, but it's not super useful. He's throwing pine cones that turn into exploding bombs.
Which is kind of fun.
The goblins are singing 15 birds in 5 fir trees. Their feathers were bare in the fiery breeze. What funny little birds. They have no wings. Oh, what shall we do with funny little things? Oh, what shall we do with funny little things? Goblins are very base. And I'm very not. Fortunately, they get rescued at the very last minute by a bunch of eagle ubers. And
who only want to help despite the goblins, basically.
Yeah.
They're not exactly being friends to our heroes. They're just like, we don't like the goblins, and the goblins seem to want these things, so let's take them away.
So they do. So we get to our next break. We've been through our danger. We're going to have a nice break in the eagle's lair. We're going to have some chats with the eagles. The food's not that great. So
yep, eagles do not have the same tastes as hobbits.
They just don't. But they do agree to carry the hobbits off to the edge of Mirkwood Forest where they can resupply with Beorn. Now, Beorn is a bear. He's your druid character. He's just a bear. And the chapter title is Queer Lodgings, and I am too straight to make this joke, but it's right there. They meet a bear in Queer Lodgings.
Yep. So in a different bear direction here, I think it's unfortunate that we have this shape-shifting bear guy, because if we try to choose the bear, it turns out he's also a man.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I hate that for us.
Yes.
Even the bear is a man.
Right.
You can't get away from him. They show up to Beorn. They come in one or two at a time. It actually works out this time. He likes a good story.
More Gandalf trickery. Gandalf is always manipulating and sneaking people into adventures they don't want any part of. Yeah, there's a whole sequence of where he reveals that the dwarf number increases more and more and more.
It's very amusing.
Yes.
But finally they get all 13 plus Bilbo in there. Beorn decides he's okay with it. They can have honey. He has great bread. They hang out in his longhouse.
Better snacky snacks than the eagles.
Such good snacky snacks. I would love the snacky snacks of Beorn's. We rest a bit, and then it's time for our next adventure. So we're going to go trudging through Mirkwood, where we are told specifically to stay on the path.
Do not leave the path.
Do not.
And Gandalf is off on a side quest again. So he's just going to bail with the whole Mirkwood situation.
Beyond Mirkwood, actually. Gandalf is fucking off until almost the end.
Oh, right.
At this point. They sort of run out of food and snacky snacks. They fall into a magic river, and they have to carry Bomber, who is now in a magical sleep.
They do some very mean body shaming of Bomber.
Yeah, I really don't like the fat jokes around Bomber. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Bomber does not deserve that.
Bomber deserves way better. But they do have to carry Bomber around. They're running out of food. They send Bilbo up a tree. Unfortunately, he can't see the forest edge because he's in like a kind of treetop valley.
There. Yeah.
He does see a lot of fabulous black butterflies. There's this lovely scene in the animated film where this happens, where he breaks free into the sunlight and there's just all these butterflies around.
I don't recall the scene. I'll have to watch it again soon.
I don't think I have a copy anymore. I watched this on VHS.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got this from Blockbuster a few times. One must be as old as Gandalf.
to remember Blockbuster. Yeah, I think I just owned a VHS copy of it. So anyway, they're alone in the forest. They're starving. They think they're very far from the exit. They see some fire and parties in the trees, and they run off the path toward a very bad plan. But every time they get near, like, they see elves feasting, but the elves just vanish.
Which I think is hilarious. This is a great prank by the elves.
It is.
Like, they're just about to join the feast. They're starving. They want some snacky snacks. And as soon as they step into the party, the elves are just like,
Poof.
gone.
I also feel like I have read this story in every single collection of Irish fairy tales that I've ever encountered. Like, there's something where people come on fairies feasting, try to join, and everybody vanishes.
Yeah.
It's very tropey.
I think the elves are also doing this because they just don't like dwarves. So they're just kind of messing with them.
Probably. The elves of Mirkwood are also kind of jerks.
Yes, they are. It's true.
So after this happens 3 times, everybody gets separated and attacked by giant spiders.
Which might be the worst danger so far. I think this is my least favorite misadventure.
It is pretty creepy, especially because the dwarves all get wrapped up in spider silk and hung from trees. Bilbo actually escapes this with the help of his magic ring. He finds the dwarves is running around throwing rocks at them. He's got a glowy sword because his magic sword from the troll's lair is being very useful here. So he's really helpful.
He does a Gandalf where he's kind of like taunting the spiders to manipulate where they move so he can kind of distract them from where the dwarves are. I think he's copying Gandalf from the troll incident.
He sings a mean song which does not appear in the animated film.
I'm sad.
I know.
don't get to hear you sing this mean song.
But the dwarves escape from the spiders just in time to be captured by the elves and taken off in chains to the Elven Palace. Bilbo follows along.
I would take
sleeps
this
in.
trade. I would be a prisoner of the elves over being wrapped up in spider wrappings.
Yeah,
Sounds
definitely.
Terrible.
So they're going to hang out with the elves for about a month. Bilbo just lives invisibly in the Elven King's palace, stealing food.
Yeah, they just like never know he's there. They have the dwarves imprisoned. They don't know about Bilbo at all. He's just like sneaking around.
Stealing food.
Yeah. At least he gets his snacky snacks.
Which, good for him. I would find that very stressful to be living invisibly in somebody's house.
Yeah. This is the source of your nightmares again.
Again, yeah. Like, this is just not good. Like, because you can never really relax.
Right.
It's hard to be safe.
At least Bilbo is small and good at kind of getting out of the way, so maybe he found a cozy corner or two to get a nappy nap.
I hope so. If anyone would find a cozy corner to be safe and have a nappy nap and a snacky snack, it would be Bilbo.
It would.
But he is going to rescue everyone from the situation with the power of international trade. This is why tariffs are bad. So it turns out that the elves trade with the men of the Long Lake. They get stuff shipped in, and then when they're done with the boxes and barrels, they just toss them in the river and send them back down, and then the men refill them and ship it back over land, which is, first of all, recycling.
Good job, elves.
Well done. And second, it is a way out of the Elven Kingdom. So they're going to have a big feast. They've gotten some wine in. The Elven jailers get really drunk. Bilbo steals the keys, rescues everyone, sticks them in barrels.
I also enjoy how in this part of the story it makes the elves a little bit more like bumbling and silly.
Yeah.
You know, compared to the Lord of the Rings where they're a little bit more serious and brooding and elegant all the time. Like these, or maybe it's a difference between the Mirkwood elves and the High Elves of the West, but whatever. These Mirkwood elves are kind of bumbling drunkards, and I enjoy that style of elf.
It is fun. This is one of the reasons why I really like The Hobbit, is because it's less serious. There's nobody. You're not going to encounter a person and hear about all of his magical ancestry like with Aragorn. You're just going to run into a Thorin who's they make fun of constantly for his head-blown way of talking, which is pretty great. But they manage to pack all the dwarves into barrels, and then the elves toss the barrels down to be recycled.
I also hate this. While it's not quite as bad as being wrapped up as spider food, I do not like the idea of being in a barrel and getting thrown into a river. No.
It seems very claustrophobic.
I find this upsetting. I know it's their way of escaping, but it's a nightmare in itself.
It really is. But the elves toss them in with a little song. Down the dark swift stream you roam, back to lands you once did know. Look beyond the world of trees, back into the winding seas. Heave ho, splash, plop, rolling down the hole. Heave ho, splash, plop, roll, roll, rolling down the hole. It's a fun
Another excellent sing-along. I love it.
It's the soundtrack is so rocking. So we get down to the shores of the Long Lake in Lake Town. People are like, these barrels are riding very low in the water. But Bilbo manages to sneak everybody out of the barrels and steal them some food. And then Thorin manages to make a really grand entrance. And announce that he is Thorin Oakenshield, the king under the mountain. He has returned. And everybody's really excited in Lake Town. All the humans in Lake Town, because they've grown up hearing legends about the fabulous wealth of the king under the mountain. And they're going to let them hang out, rest, give them stuff.
This really validates Thorin and his whole vibe.
It is really validating. Like, you show up and suddenly you're a hero in your hometown. It doesn't normally work like that. The master of Lake Town is also, kind of greedy. He's like, well, if we help these guys, they're going to share, right?
Right.
Dwarves,
this is a treasure opportunity.
Everybody who gets treasure is known for wanting to share it, right?
Of course.
So they give them some new ponies, who are also going to get eaten.
Yeah, none of the ponies have a good time.
And send them off toward the Lonely Mountain where the dragon is. And this is where the action basically cribs straight out of Beowulf. I remember reading Beowulf in college, and when I got to the dragon episode, I was like, I've read this before. They bumble around the mountain for quite a while because everyone has such a problem with doors in Middle-earth. They have written directions on how to get through the secret door.
Oh, and they just kind of don't do that.
They find the door and they try to break it open with pickaxes.
Oh, that sounds like a good plan.
Which, spoiler alert, does not work for magic doors.
I think this is why Gandalf went off on his latest side quest, because he knew there was going to be a door and he didn't want to be embarrassed about it again.
I like that. Just whenever there might be a door, just fuck off.
Yeah.
So take Gandalf's advice. If there's something you know you're bad at, instead of trying to work at it or work around it, just Side quest. Do you know any necromancers who need taken out? Side quest.
How's your necromancy coming along? Can I use you as an excuse to get out of opening a door?
Slowly. My cat likes cicadas and keeps killing them, so I'm trying to bring back the dead cicadas that are around the house.
That's a good start.
Much better than starting with a full-grown human that you might just have around.
I'm sure they look very sexy while you're, reanimating these cicadas.
I try. I wear the long robes that are slit up to the hip.
Oh yeah, okay. Sexy necromancer is a go.
Yes, I'm the sexiest of necromancers. Finally, it's Durin's Day, because our written directions say stand by the greystone when the thrush gnaws, and the last light of Durin's Day will shine upon the keyhole. Something like that.
And they happen to be there on the right day, which is great.
And then they have the key. It takes them a moment to realize what's happening, which, again, they have written directions on what's going to happen. Why did
they forget this?
I don't know. Why is this a problem?
I think it's all of the Mirkwood magic. You know, I think they all get confused. I don't know if it's the spider venom or just like the general Mirkwood vibes, but their brains are mush now.
Probably. The one part of a quest that I think I would excel at would be that I am excellent at following written directions. They aren't. But they finally get the magic door open because it happens the way the map tells them it will. And they send Bilbo down to burgle it. Now, just like the thief in Beowulf, he's going to still steal a silver cup. This wakes up the dragon, who comes out and eats all the ponies.
I love the line in this scene about how it's just like rich folk who have never used the thing, never wanted it, never had a purpose for it, but as soon as it's gone, like they're enraged.
Yeah. There's some pot shots at rich people going on here, which I appreciate. Smaug can't destroy the dwarves because they all flee in through the secret door, and I keep trying to say dwarf instead of door, and it's coming out as dwarf. So he's hanging out, just sort of seething about the situation. And Bilbo goes to talk to him again, and they sort of talk in riddling talk.
Because Bilbo doesn't want to give his real name, so he's like giving himself lots of titles, feral writer and such.
Which unfortunately gives the dragon the idea that he's come from Lake Town. So he goes out to destroy Lake Town. However, the thrush that was knocking on the stone turns out to be a magic thrush, and there's this whole race of magic thrushes and ravens that used to hang out and talk to the dwarves, so they can communicate, and Bilbo can communicate that he saw a weakness in Smaug, the Magnificent.
Oh, yeah. Smaug was all bragging about it, like how he's so armored and impenetrable, and nope. Got a weak spot.
Yep, just on his left breast.
Mm-hmm.
And the thrush goes off and tells the one person in Lake Town, conveniently, who is of an ancient line and can still understand them, except the plot hole.
It's a very good A Little Birdie Told Me story.
Yeah. Coincidences are going to happen, and they will work to your advantage. So Bard the Guardsman manages to shoot Smaug down, and there's this whole creepy imagery of Smaug crashing into the lake, and apparently on a clear day you can still look down and see his bones. And
I do like that. I'm into that.
It's just this dark, cold place. I find underwater stuff kind of creepy anyway because I get a bit of claustrophobia. The idea of being underwater and stuck under something.
Yes, that is horrifying.
Yeah, it really is. Scuba diving is not for me.
Yeah. Have you gone down the cave diving horror stories rabbit hole along with your scuba tank research?
No. I know enough about it to know that it is not something I want to know about.
I am very much firmly in the no adventures camp when it comes to things like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 100% Bilbo staying in my nice little hobbit hole when it comes to cave diving.
Do not go cave diving. It's such an easy way to die. It's a horrible way to die.
Yeah.
You're stuck there and your air's running out, and I can't deal with that.
And it would be even worse if you're looking at a dragon carcass while this is happening.
Yeah. Although maybe with the dragon carcass, there'd be an eldritch horror that would get you first, which would be so much better.
That could be a mercy.
Yeah. Also, submarines, do not want any part of that.
Oh, absolutely not.
No submarines. We should not be down there. There's terrible things. So the dragon's dead, the town is destroyed, and the dwarves are sitting in a bunch of treasure. Now that they have a bunch of treasure, do you think they're going to share and help the men of Lake Town who helped them and rebuild their town?
They're sure not.
They're definitely not. So they're going to get into a war about it. You've got the men of Lake Town who have joined up with the wood elves from Mirkwood, and they're going to attack and take it from the dwarves. But the dwarves have other dwarves in the Misty Mountains that they send messages to, and there's a dwarf army on the way. Bilbo's not thrilled about this because Bilbo is essentially at heart a nice person.
Yeah.
And because Bilbo is an independently upper class and wealthy, he does not feel the same need of money that other people do, apparently. He's too privileged to be greedy, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's still good for him. Plenty of privileged people are greedy.
Yeah, that is true. And we have such terrible rich people in this country. They don't understand enough.
They're more like Smog.
Yeah.
Bilbo.
Bilbo believes that there is plenty for all, which is true.
Be Bilbo, don't be Smog.
Exactly. That's just good life advice. So Bilbo wants to share, but Thorin is determined to start a war. So Bilbo finds the thing that Thorin most wants, which is a special rock.
Yeah, the most super fancy pants jewel.
Yeah, bestest rock. It's technically the Arkenstone, but it's the bestest rock. And he steals it and goes and takes it to Bard and also Gandalf, who has finally shown back up.
I do like Bilbo's logic to, like, you know, not feel guilty about stealing it, because he remembers back to Thorin technically telling him, you can have your choice of the treasure. You know, you get
First pick.
1/14 of the treasure. You get to choose what part that is. So Bilbo is thinking,
Sure.
well, I get my pick of my share. So
this is
I
my
choose this.
This is my pick, and I'm going to give it to the humans, and they can use it to ransom treasure to rebuild their town.
Which is good diplomacy.
It really is, but Thorin is enraged and kicks Bilbo out.
Right.
Fortunately, he doesn't hurt him because Gandalf is there to yell at him. But war seems inevitable, but then it is averted by the goblins showing up with their wargs. And they're going to have a giant, mighty battle, which Bilbo fucks off from, which I think is excellent.
Good choice, Bilbo.
Bilbo's taking the Gandalf approach
Yes.
to problems he can't deal with. He just puts on his magic
He
ring
put in
and
his
leaves.
best effort at diplomacy, so he deserves to fuck off from the war.
He's been a good rogue. He's been a good diplomat. He does not need to be a good fighter. And battles are very unpleasant. In fact, he gets hit over the head in the battle. So he misses most of it. I mean, it's a huge, mighty battle. They're about to lose. The tide is turned at the last minute when the Eagles and Beorn show up. Bilbo gets to miss all of it, wakes up when everything's over, gets taken to Thorin, who's been mortally wounded, but makes a hell of a deathbed speech because he's Thorin. He's been making great speeches throughout. So if you're going to do a deathbed speech, Thorin's you can do worse than.
Good way to go out, Thorin.
It's also the easiest way to do a redemption arc. Thorin's been shown as kind of a nasty person, but once he's dead, you know.
Yeah.
Being dead makes everything fine, usually. This will be a trope that repeats later with Boromir.
Oh, yeah, true.
He's dead, so it's all good. So we're really done. There's peace. The goblins are defeated. Bilbo gets another pony to take some treasure home with him. This pony is fine.
Finally, we get a happy ending for a pony.
I am going to take a moment to say that I really appreciate that Bill the pony survives in Lord of the Rings.
Me too. That is a wonderful detail.
All the ponies in The Hobbit have a bad time, but Bill, he's fine.
Oh yeah, did we even talk about when Smaug ate some of the ponies? That was another pony demise.
Yeah, Smaug kills so many
Snack
ponies.
for Smaug.
Yeah, they get a whole pack of ponies that gets taken out by goblins, and then their next pack of ponies gets taken out by a dragon.
So finally, Bilbo's homeward pony gets to make it.
He has a little bit of a tough time when he gets home because his cousins, the Sackville Baggins, have moved in and are auctioning his stuff off because he's presumed dead.
Always an additional villain, those Sackville Baggins is.
He manages to kick everybody out of his hobbit hole. He has to buy back a bunch of his stuff, but he's now fabulously
And the Sackville
wealthy.
Bagginses are annoyed that he was not, in fact, dead.
Well, they've gone to all this trouble to set up an auction, and then the bastard
live
wasn't
in
even
his
dead.
house.
We just have a happily ever after. Bilbo's going to write a book.
He lives happily to the end of his days, which are very many.
And that's where we're done. So it is now time to rate this on my unitless sugar
right.
scale before we all fuck off on side quests.
Let's do it.
So, sexiness.
There's nothing sexy.
No, it's unfortunate. Or maybe fortunate. It's such a great children's book.
Yeah.
There's no sex. Uniqueness. It's not really. There's so many tropes from pretty much all the Icelandic sagas, from Beowulf, from
Which I mean, he pretty much
still.
explicitly pulled from and
Yeah.
said so himself, so. Yeah.
I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
Like, this is a delight to read.
It is. It is.
G is for gender.
We get a score less than 0 because the bear is also a man.
Yeah. Even the cocaine bear is a female.
Cocaine Bear is actually a fun watch.
Feminist icon Cocaine Bear. I love that movie. Unironically, I just enjoyed it.
It's a good movie.
It's better than you expect it to be.
It is. I recommend Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, watch Cocaine Bear. It's fun. The A stands for axiness because, of course, Franz Kafka says that a book should be an axe for the frozen sea inside us. Now, when I was a child, this was very motivating. It was like, I want to go on adventures. I'm going to memorize a bunch of riddles to prepare for this.
Yeah.
And even as an adult, I'm very motivated by the character of Bilbo and how Thorin talks about him. You know, if more of us valued food and cheer and song above hoarded gold, it would be a merrier world.
That was a good Axie quote.
That statement really holds up, and especially now that we have rich people who have a lot of hoarded gold that they value.
Yeah, they're just sitting there and they'd just be mad if the cup that they never used was suddenly gone.
It would be physically impossible for them to spend all their wealth, but they want it.
I also find it Axie just the fun little magical things like the hidden writing on the map and the keyhole that only shows up on the correct day of the year when the moon is shining on it just right. Things like this just kind of sparked my lifelong love of fantasy and magical things. So, very Axie to me.
There's just so many little things that just spark joy in this book. On a reread, I'd forgotten this little detail. One of Bilbo's ancestors invented the game of golf in the Goblin Wars because he cut off a goblin's head and it rolled and landed in a hole.
Yes, that's a good tidbit. I like that.
Only way that I have ever been interested in golf, if severed heads are involved.
Agreed.
So finally, readability. I love this book. I've read it a lot.
It's fast-paced. You can read it quickly. There's no drawn out, like, unlike Lord of the Rings, which has a lot of, like, oh, when are we going to get to the next thing? We're just describing things forever. It's just like, it's boom, 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 action. Things are happening.
You get a rest, so you never get tired as a reader. Like when the characters get tired, because I don't know if you know the kind of fantasy where people are just trudging along and they're exhausted and they just have to keep going. It makes me tired.
Yeah, true.
And I still like it. But
Another good quote, it might be when they're in Rivendell, there is a comment about nice things that we enjoy. And we would love to spend 2 weeks chilling in Rivendell and having nice times and snacky snacks and nappy naps and songs. But nice things are described very quickly, and the story is over. And it's interesting that it's actually the crappy parts, the dangerous parts, the unpleasant parts that make for the content of the story.
It is a good point.
Another good quote.
Mm-hmm. And none of it overstays its welcome. I feel like a lot of things in The Lord of the Rings overstay their welcome.
Like this one, the ending is just a quick ending. Like, oh, he made his way back, and then there he is, and he lived happily ever after. Instead of like, we have 100 pages of ending after the ending.
I don't even mind the scouring at the Shire. What I mind is the several hundred pages of celebration and wedding stuff in between that and the ending. It's just, it's so long. It's
See,
like,
right there is the, like, he tried to take too long to tell the story of the good stuff. Whereas the exciting, interesting part is the bad stuff.
He should have learned his own lesson.
Yep.
Oh, and the necromancer does get defeated. That just gets mentioned in passing.
Right. We're not defeated forever. Just, driven out of Mirkwood.
Yeah, so the lands are going to be safer. It'll be much
And
nicer now.
That's our hint for the sequels that became The Lord of the Rings.
So, to our dear readers, farewell wherever you fare, and may your Iries receive you at journey's end.